I would go up to, I particularly remember going up to Goblin Knob and the wigwams on the east side of Priest Lake, on the Idaho state lands side of Priest Lake. And I remember hunting, not hunting, but looking for caribou, hoping to see one in the wild. And it's wild up there in Goblin Knob. It's wild up there in the wigwams and on the Selkirk Crest. But I never saw them, and I saw tracks of about 4 or 5 of them on the ridge on Goblin Knob. Big, round, ungulate hooves, and very exciting. And I've hiked into the Upper Priest Falls many, many times, well over a dozen times over the years. I've hiked up Snowy Top looking. I've hiked parts of the Shed Roof Divide into the Salmo. Hiked into up Cedar Creek with Chris Bessler, and up towards Continental Mine, to which I've been more than once. I don't know if you can get in there anymore. The Continental Mine was where Billy Houston survived the winter, eating caribou and sleeping in caribou tents. So there's plenty of, and I think one of the last places they saw a few caribou was on Continental Mountain up there. So, was I dedicated completely to my life to seeing a caribou? No. I had a wife and 2 young babies and a job. I had to make a living. But what am I trying to say? The caribou consumed my conscience for many, many, many years, beginning in the early 1980s. And it's been a very sad disappointment for me that I never saw a mountain caribou in the wild. I'm sorry about that. And now, despite all the efforts that we all made to try to protect them, they are extirpated in the lower 48, and there are no more caribou whatever in the lower 48, because it was the last herd, and that touches me in my heart deeply, just because they take on a mythical kind of a mythical what? Help me with the words. Yeah, they were. I called them black caribou, and I like to call them black caribou. Although people always try to correct me when I'm talking about them, but I know a lot about them. And they're shadows, and they take their coloration, the fact that they survive in old growth spruce forests, which is very dense stuff. The fact that the females grow antlers, the fact that they got to live above 4,500 feet to avoid the brainworm, the fact that they migrate up there in the winter and live off old man's beard lichens, and this whole ambiance about these animals takes on this mythical quality of, wow, what are these things, and where are they, and how do I see one? And that was sort of the driving force for me wanting to get up and see one in the wild and take a picture maybe of one.
Can you describe what you think it would have been like
to see one?
Caribou?
I think I said it last night, and I don't know if it's on tape, but it would have been a spiritual experience for me, and I'm not necessarily religious, but I do have some spiritual dimension to my character. I'm a Scots Presbyterian by my raising, but I think that it would be, I said it last night when we went to Switzerland to see my niece's wedding, and she took us up to a ridge underneath the Matterhorn, and it was enough. I told my wife, I looked at her and said, sitting there under that bluebird sky and the bright warm sun and seeing that mountain and all the snow on top of it, and it's just a presence, in your face presence of this mountain, was enough to make an atheist or an agnostic change his mind or reconsider his position in life. It has that kind of an impact on you, and that's what it would have been for me to have seen a black caribou, shadowy black caribou, moving through an old-growth spruce forest in the shadows, and it just would have been like, wow, look at that, amazing. And having invested so much time studying them and researching them and talking to Jasper and befriending him and getting them listed on this emergency listing, it was just all the more mythical, and it just kept burgeoning and burgeoning and burgeoning. And now, of course, they're gone, but still, there may be some up in the Valhalla area of British Columbia. And I could still might be able to. I'm not my age, not in my condition, but I don't know. It's how would you describe it? I'm just talking out loud for your camera. How would I describe what it would have been like to have seen a black caribou in a old-growth spruce forest up on the top of the Selkirk Crest? I think it would have been one of those experiences that I had in Switzerland. If you were agnostic, you'd reconsider, because God has just exposed his face to you, or a glimpse of his face. And this creature with so many attributes that are just unique in nature, and living so close to us here, it just would have been. It would have been a religious experience almost for me.